my whole focus is how can you create systems that anybody can come in and follow this specific system and guarantee themselves profits if they do this. Okay. Once I've mastered that, then I go to the next thing.
Hey guys, welcome back to the 1,000 Card Project podcast. I'm super excited today. I have what my wife calls my crazy cousin, Dale Calvert. Dale's CMG Sports Cars Investments, Dale and Don on YouTube. And we'll be driving and I'll be listening to your videos. And my wife is just I'm laughing. I'm having fun. I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing out loud. My wife just is like, oh, there you go, talking to your crazy cousin again. So appreciate you being on, Dale. Really enjoy what you do, and this is exciting for me.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. Very honored, sincerely. First time anybody's asked me to speak on a podcast about sports cards, and we've only been back in it a couple of years, so we're doing our very best to try to put good content out there, good information, and the fact that I thought it was a joke, really, when I first heard from you. Who is this guy? He doesn't really want me to come and speak, so I appreciate it. I sincerely do, Ron.
Thanks so much. And, for you, those of you that are not maybe familiar with Dale's channel, I highly recommend it. I think, in this world of YouTube right now, in this social media world where everybody's talking about the big hits and the $1,000+ cards and all that type of stuff, the systems and the processes that you're laying out are things that can be repeatable, can be, replicated, and 99% of the general population can do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that you're doing some great stuff. I want to backtrack just a little bit now. So, go back to, so you and your brother had a card shop.
Yeah.
You've been a serial entrepreneur,
Mhm.
through your career. What brought about going back into sports cards and kind of putting this out there as a real possible business, and kind of, we're both in retirement age,
My brother and I had a shop during the junk wax era and loved it. We did a lot of shows, Cincinnati area, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana. We had a blast. The Reds went to the World Series in 1990. We were sitting there for the playoffs, the World Series. We went to about 25 games that year. It was just one of the best times of my life. And then, the bottom fell out of everything. And I hadn't even thought about it really in years. And my wife and I have several different online stores and e-commerce sites. She's one of the largest Hallmark Christmas ornaments dealer in the United States. That's a huge collectible. We got into that about 10 years ago accidentally. But so I've always had that. I love the e-commerce. I love collectibles. And a guy that I had spoke at his national convention, because I've done some speaking to entrepreneur groups, called me and he said, I'm getting ready to start a business. It's called Collect Direct. And he said, I want you to come on board and you've spoke at our other convention. And he said, we're going to build this whole business around collectibles and all that. I said, there's no way. It's not going to work. And he said, well, come out here and I want to show you my warehouses. So I went out there and I looked and I could not believe the amount of collectibles this guy had. All kinds of cards. He'd been collecting for years. So about 2 years ago, I took a team of people, about 30 of us, and we kicked this company off, and it didn't make it. He was listening to the wrong people. A lot of reasons. It could have made it. It could have made it, but it didn't. But I am so thankful that it brought me back into the sports card market. If it hadn't been for that call from that gentleman, I never would have even looked at sports cards again. But it really brought back that passion and the love of, because I love baseball, I love sports. I'm a huge UK basketball fan. So it brought back all that. And I just said, you know what? This is something I think you can really build a significant business, not in a month, not in a year, but over a 3 to 5 year period. If you do the right things consistently, I think you can create a significant income. And I know you can have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, that's kind of what brought us back.
I think it's a unique story, right? Because I mean, I think there's a lot of people that was their dream, is to own a card store
Yeah.
and just kind of be around it all day long. Something that's kind of a passion project for a lot of people. And
Absolutely.
You live the ups and downs of that, and probably in some ways even looking at the current market and kind of making some correlations a little bit even with things.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm working on a different type of video right now. Because normally you'll see I use a lot of PowerPoint because I don't like this getting on the screen and show. I don't do that. I'm down in the corner and I'm talking, in my channel.
Oh, I watch all of them.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go and I'm really going to it's called Sports Card Bubble or Bull Run is the name of it, a common sense approach. And I'm really excited. I'm working on that. Probably a couple of weeks I'll be dropping that because I did not live through the COVID era. I wasn't in the middle of it. And I think it created a lot of people are gun shy because they saw everything go up so fast and then drop so fast from what I've heard. And I think a lot of people are gun shy right now that because it's moving forward, it's growing. I mean, you go to shows, the crowds are bigger, but a lot of people out there are talking about the bubble. So I'm going to be doing a video, give my perspective on it. And again, I don't know, but
Right.
I'm going to share my perspective on it. And I'm excited about that.
I think especially we'll get into the strategies because I want to talk about some of the strategies, but with the strategies that you teach, those are almost recession proof. Those are
That's right.
almost bubble proof. And I
That's
think
right.
I think that's what's, if people, because people, even in those tough times, they're still looking for their outlets. They're still looking for things to kind of take their mind off, tough times. And
Absolutely.
that's what cards are in a lot of ways. What, so you made this decision to kind of go back in. Most of your business is online and card shows. I mean, kind of big picture. What maybe percentage wise? What are you doing in your different areas and kind of how you kind of selling cards? I guess.
Yeah, and I'm a work in progress, man. It's just been an evolution. I just keep trying to move forward, trying to figure this out. To me, it's so different from when we had the shop. I'm trying to learn Chinese as all the different parallels and everything. But my whole focus is how can you create systems that anybody can come in and follow this specific system and guarantee themselves profits if they do this. Okay, once I've mastered that, then I go to the next thing. What's the next thing we can do? And I'm trying to stack these systems on top of each other where people can go in, my granddaughter or whoever, and follow step by step and guarantee themselves profits. And that's really been my focus. And I had no interest in doing shows when we first got back into it. We've done eBay, my wife and I. We've sold on eBay for years. That's actually how we met. But as I got more into it and I really started looking at it, and I'm thinking, okay, there's a lot of shows in this area. I don't want to travel because I've traveled my whole life. But if we can make it fun and just go and have a good time and not sweat it, I think there's shows that can be very, very good, very good. So we have 3 or 4 online platforms we sell on. eBay's being our primary. That was our only focus really in the beginning. Then we're doing shows and we're doing more all the time. I'd like to maybe do 2 a month. And what I'm trying to convince myself to do, which I I'm doing my very best to convince myself I have to start doing something on Whatnot because everybody I talk to, every other dealer, it's been very good for those people if they can create a following and people know them, like them, and trust them.
Sure.
I think that that's a good outlet for us, especially as we get older. And I don't like being out there in Atlanta traffic every weekend.
Yeah.
And
Great.
avoid it. So we're looking at Whatnot. We're looking at some other things. So we're going to be doing some things at a show that you'll be seeing the first of the year if you're watching our videos that I think is going to be a grand slam and nobody else is doing it. And I'm really close to it. I mean, we're moving forward. A lot of good things happen this week, but you'll see it soon. Uh, yeah, so I'm excited about some of the things, some of the ideas, some of the marketing and entrepreneurial ideas that you can apply to this, because I think YouTube is a minority of what's really out there. 90% of
Great.
the people are just collectors, man. They just like to collect their Chicago Cubs or whoever their team is. But YouTube's different. It's not the real market.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. I think, especially when you're out there and about, you get to see that, right? You get to see the father and the son walking by a table, and the son interested in Pokemon or whatever, and the dad's like, "Oh, well, there's a Jose Canseco card. I remember that," and
That's exactly
grabbing it and going. And And that it kind of brings back that nostalgia. And I think what I really like about the hobby in general is the connection that it makes with your kids, your grandkids, and how that can be passed through generations. But you found a way now. Obviously, you've got your honeypot, you've got eBay, you've got card shows, you got these different distribution channels, and I think that is important. I think if you're trying to sell cards, you got to know where you're going to sell them.
That's right.
Before you buy, because you can get in
That's
trouble that
right.
way, right?
That's exactly right.
And you've made some of these strategies, and so I want to get into some of these strategies, some of the ones that you've obviously talked about. So one of the main ones that you preach constantly is buying lots and selling singles. And you kind of combine that with another strategy, which is the iconic cards or the goats. And those are the ones that move. Talk a little bit about kind of your strategy there and like, how could that be replicated for somebody that's watching this?
Anybody can do it. And that's the thing. People, what's the worst thing that could happen? All right, I spent $32 on 50 Ronald Acuna cards. None of them are numbered. None of them are parallel. But I bought 50 for say $32. If somebody does that, what's the worst thing that can happen? They'll lose $32. That's the worst thing that can happen. People are afraid to take the first step. It's amazing to me. Fail forward quickly, man. That's how you learn. I'm not afraid to fail. Zig Ziglar said the only difference between a big shot and a little shot is a big shot is a little shot that kept on shooting. And I will keep on shooting because you learn from the mistakes that you made. So we buy lots, and what I prefer to do is buy 20, 30, 50 of the exact same card, the exact same player. I list it one time and I'm done. And then we just sell it. I call that a dividend approach. It's a dividend. It just comes in every month, every month. I mean, Don Mattingly, some of the goats, some of the older goats, they'll just sell, 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 sell. We don't have to think about it. But a lot of times we'll buy lots and I'll look at a lot of 50 cards and I think, okay, if I sell these 8 Acunas, I got my $32 back. And the rest is just the profit. It's just so common sense. It's almost just looks too good to be true. People try to, well, what about this? What about that? Well, what if this happens? What if it does? I lost $32. If you're not willing to lose $32, then don't be in business. Just don't try to make a business out of it. Fear of loss is the number one motivator to human beings, and it keeps them held back. Lose, man, lose, lose, lose. That's how you're going to win. I see it all over this market. I really
Yeah,
do.
I think when what I love about you, and I think that's probably the thing that I identify the most with, that that my wife's like, I don't understand it. Like, for an entrepreneur, that's exactly how you learn, right? You fail forward, you try different things, and by trying different things, talking different things out loud, you find unique in different ways. And so, like, buying lots and selling singles isn't necessarily groundbreaking, right? That's not something that people have been doing that. But what I like about what you do is you take some of these other strategies and you kind of apply it, right? So, like, maybe the eye appeal of a whatnot card, that a lot of people are talking about, having
Mhm.
the eye appeal.
That's
Well, you'll take the Ricky Henderson or the Ken Griffey bubble gum, or
yeah,
or some of these cards that are these iconic cards. The Ricky Henderson's a good example because that's a low dollar card,
that's
but
right.
the 3D, the base stealing, like, when somebody sees that, that's an impulse buy. That's just
Exactly.
something that triggers something in people's heads, and you're kind of combining these things by taking this outside the box approach, and buying these cards and putting them in these the dividend video. If you have not watched that, I think that's a must watch for people that are listening, because I think it triggers something in me, like, okay, yes, that makes sense. Right now, I do it one time, I do the work one time, and it pays me a residual. How do you set up the dividend? One thing, a question I had when I watched that video was, you're constantly in eBay. You're kind of dealing with, sometimes when you deal in the low dollar cards, you deal with a lot of people that are going to just bicker to bicker, right? The condition of the card, or whatever. How do you handle people not being able to see the exact card? Maybe you're maybe putting the best version of the card as the photo,
We
but then
put
you've
the
got 50. Say
we
that?
we pushed the worst version.
Yeah.
My wife's a stickler on that, and we just put the worst version. Says if I have 14 cards, and I like to have 50 at least, And I have certain people that I buy from that I know those cards came out of a pack and went in a box and they're clean.
Right.
They're clean, clean, clean. So I look for people like that I can buy large lots from. We were at Culture Collision this weekend here in Atlanta, the big show, and there was a gentleman there we bought from, uh, and he had broke Bowman cases, pulled out all the color, all the numbered, but we bought Rowan Anthony, and we bought Bobby Witt, and we bought a lot of just base cards, but they were clean as they could be. You know, we bought 25 at least of everybody that we bought. They're clean, but we'll look at which one of these is the worst centered card, and we try to use that for our picture.
Smart.
When people get that card, I wanted them to, this looks better than it did in the picture. That's the mindset I want them to have, because if they do, they're going to come back to us because they know, we're not going to nickel and dime people. We want to give them good value. Right now, most of what I'm doing, I look at as a loss leader. I'm just trying to build relationships where people know, hey, they do business the right way. You can trust them. And that's really been kind of the foundation we've been trying to build since we started back.
You speak about that a lot. I think that's, and I think that's, again, not just you, but, Paul Carl, who I had on the show, and other people, like, when they talk about their eBay store, they talk about it almost like it's a physical brick and mortar, and that they're creating,
Absolutely.
they're great customer service. They're de-sleeving, top loading, putting in new top loaders, new sleeves, make sure the packaging is well, put in a thank you card, all those things to
This is
build.
this is what we send out. I don't know, the postcard. So the card goes right here. If it's a single card, we just, in the top loader, we put it right here. So they open it up. Here's the card. And then on the back, it's got our YouTube and our website and all that. It's a real business. It's a real business if you treat it like a real business. This gets a lot of repeat customers for us. I can't imagine thinking you're building an eBay business and not doing some type of ride along package insert.
Right. Yeah. When you do it the right way, people, there's no doubt people earmark that. And they might not go right away, but every time then your store pops up, because usually you're carrying things that they like, then it does create that repeat business. And I think, you're doing it the right way, that, the patient way, which is probably the main principle of the whole thing. But how do you balance that with, okay, I'm trying to build a business that maybe, like, for you and I, like, not our food money's not coming from cards necessarily, right?
Right.
But for somebody that that they want this to be where
Yeah.
they support their family, how can you ramp those processes up faster to where you can count on that money and count on, not waiting the 3 or 4 purchases before you create this kind of long-term customer?
Yeah. I think, you know, our philosophy is don't use your grocery money, don't use your rent, use your profits. So whatever you start out with, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Double it, double it, double it. There's guaranteed ways to make money. Once you understand those, like we break sets every week, every single week. I break sets. I love that set.
Just bought this because of your recommendation. I bought actually 5 of them.
You're probably going against me in the bidding. It's like, no,
No,
but
I bought them locally off Facebook.
yeah, that's the best way to do it if you can find them
Yeah,
in a show. Yeah,
yeah,
that you got the Barry Bonds in there. That's, if you can get, I mean, it's hard to get those graded,
right.
get a decent grade. But man, that set, I have made so much money with that set. And it's not that expensive if you're just looking for it. But we break sets, and there's no way a person can buy that set and not make money. And that's with a lot of the sets, a lot of the full sets. I've been all over the upper deck, 89 upper deck. I bought 5 of those in the last couple of weeks because of that Griffey in there. And who knows what's happening with that? I mean, the 10 has gone crazy. And the 9's still less than 300. It's got to catch up at some point, I feel like. So you put these systems in place, you have profit. Now, once you have profit, then buy iconic cards. The Bo Jackson shoulder pad, the Griffey blowing the bubble, the Griffey upper deck, the Patrick Mahomes rookie card, Donruss, not too expensive. Buy the iconic cards, and when people are walking by in that show, it triggers them. I mean, I have Griffey's strategically placed in my showcase at shows. I have that Bo Jackson card strategically placed with the shoulder pads. And if people will stop at your table and start looking, then they'll buy. If you got good prices and it's fair. The problem is, how do you get them to stop? Because people come in a show and they're just trying to get through everything as quick as they can. They want to make one round, and then they may or may not ever make it back to your table. So I want them to have to stop. And so that's what we do. We strategically set up our tables at shows. The Ripken Air card. I mean, there's just certain cards that stop people in their tracks. And so that's what we try to do. And yeah.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that you do with the card shows that I think is, again, I think you look at it like a brick and mortar where you're taking not just the Ripken F-face card, but you're putting it next to the corrected card and putting it in a plaque, or you're putting a rainbow of an Acuna, or
Watch a lot of you're watching yeah.
I told you, man, I watch Moist. You got the card spinning with the lights on it. I mean, I've
Yeah,
seen it all.
to build a list, to build
Yeah,
it,
yeah, and I
because
think
the money's in the list.
that's right.
Like, if I'm going to Commerce, Georgia, and I've been there 3 or 4 times, and I got a list of people in Commerce, Georgia, and I say, "Hey, guys, I'm coming back. We got this, we got that." I can send out an email. We got some stuff coming next year that you will appreciate.
Yeah, it's great. I can't wait. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
we do.
What, so one of those strategies that you do is alternative grading, which is
Mhm.
another video I think that people should watch. Now, somebody like myself, I've never set up at a show. I really have no desire to set up at a show. I like to keep things online or digital, even with like ComC or things like that. But how would you go about doing the alternative grading strategy when so much of the online is PSA or bust, or SGC or bust? Like, how would you go about doing that in a non-card show way?
We sell a lot of, if you like, last night, we probably listed 30 cards that were from one of our alternative graders. We listed them last night. So we sell them online on eBay as well, because the majority of the like, they come up, they say, "Do you have a slabbed?" I've had people, "Do you have a slabbed Ronald Acuna card? Do you have a slabbed Nolan Ryan card?" They don't say PSA. A lot of people don't. They're a collector. They love Nolan Ryan. They're buying as many Nolan Ryans as they can. They don't have a slab. When they see a slab, when it's $15, they're buying it. So our market, my thought is, I'm dealing with collectors. That's really who I'm trying to work with. It's collectors, people that love baseball, love football, love basketball, whatever their sport, and they just want a Nolan Ryan card or a Patrick Mahomes card. It can be a $2 card, but if it's in a slab, it's worth $15, $20 minimum to them. And they're proud to have it in their collection. Again, everything we see on YouTube, I don't think is the real world.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you think grade matters with that? Do you think if it's a Edgar Martinez rookie card or Randy Johnson rookie card that comes back as a 7 with one of these alternative grading companies, do you think that hurts the resale part of it?
7 would, but I think 8, 9, and 10 are kinda all the same,
Gotcha.
is my personal opinion. If it's a 7, but if it's an 8, 9, or 10, they don't care.
What are you doing with a 7? How would you liquidate that?
I might do it in a giveaway of some kind. I might put 5 7s together and sell them in a lot. I usually won't put them out at show, but I would put them together in a lot and sell 5 7s on eBay for, if I can recoup my money, I'm fine, and I'll probably make a profit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You decided, and again, at our age, like, right, like I tell people all the time, I remember a computer lab going into my college, much less having laptops and YouTube and content creation and those types of things. But you and Don have made a conscious decision here to share this journey kind of, and there's no question that you both have a heart of a teacher. That's why you're doing it, but why YouTube? Why put yourself through? A lot of people have a hard time putting themselves out there like that. And, it seems natural to you. And it seems like something that you intentionally are trying to improve the content creation side of things as well.
Yeah, I just think I initially did it to document the journey, because I told Don, I said, "Look, we're gonna build a huge business here. I promise you. We will do it. We will figure it out. We can do it. We can do this. The market's there. The collectors are there. It's not what I came out of when we closed the card shop. This is a different ball game, and I will figure it out. And we're going to build a huge business. We just are, and we're going to make a lot of friends, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go to a lot of games, and it's going to be good. So I did it to kind of document the journey, because what I found in my entrepreneurial career, many successful people forgot where they came from. And I don't want to ever forget where I came from. And I wanted to start like dollar box, just start on the ground floor where I could go to my grandson or my granddaughter and say, look, this is all you have to do. And just follow the progression, follow the road, follow the journey, because what we're doing now, we won't be doing probably in 3 or 4 years, in my mind.
I think it's really cool for your I mean, you talk about your granddaughter. I think she plays basketball somewhere.
Yeah.
And you talk about that. I think it's going to be cool for them to go back and watch some of these videos and just seeing grandma and grandpa driving, on the road talking
Yeah, I hope so.
whatever. I think that's going to be cool for them as well. But it's the same reason I started this. I had two reasons. One is to kind of document it and just show that, the 1,000 card project is all based off the Kevin Kelly 1,000 True Fans
Right.
article. Basically 1,000 people giving you $100 is $100,000 business, and anybody can do that without a big following. And I've been flipping up. I started with a $500 investment, tracking it. And started with 300 cards, worked the way up to 1,000 cards, and then flipping that up to those cards being worth $100 a piece. And right now I'm worth, it's at about $5 a piece is the average of the value of the cards in the collection.
I love that. I just love that. I mean, we listened to some of the podcasts, your first one
Oh, I appreciate that.
on the way to Culture Collision, and then we listened to some of the guests you had, and I'm thinking, this guy, I mean, I love what he's doing. I love his thought
Appreciate that.
behind it. Sincerely, it's very unique and it's very needed, in my opinion. So I love what you're doing.
It's one of the things that I've had a lot of young coaches work for me. And, in the coaching profession, it's so volatile. It's hard to retire being a coach. It's hard to retire with any kind of real income because you're constantly buying and selling houses in bad markets and dipping into retirement and doing those types of things. And so having, not a lot of time, but having to build something that can create some stability in an unstable environment is important. So I'm always, what's that thousand, items, or what's that, and I kind of always put that in perspective that way. And so when I went to cards, it was a similar thing. Like I said, I've always collected cards, but never really did the business side of it, the entrepreneurial side of it. But that just clicked for me, and then I combined that with the best way that I found to learn is to talk to the experts, to talk to the people that are, to the originators and the innovators. And so that's what's drawn me to you, and the strategies and the thinking behind it. And so that's kind of where I'm at. So I guess my question to you is what would your advice be? Because I'm with you. Like the dollar box, like I know I can go through a dollar box and I can turn a dollar into $3, and 2x my 2x my money or whatever. But like I've had a hard time scaling up, and going to a higher dollar card, because then you look at that return and you're like, that's 10% return, that's 15% return, and I'm like, I'd rather go 100% and just pour more gasoline on the fire,
I know.
So where would you go from this to try to go from 1,000 cards worth $5 a piece to maybe 1,000 cards worth $10 a piece?
You've got to go to the iconic cards. But see, when you start the iconic cards, they're going to go up every year. They just are. But the big hits are when you hit the prospect right. And that is a difficult game. So when you're ready to play that game, you better have some money to play that game with. And I'm still, I don't have concrete advice there. Okay. I will down the road, but I don't right now because there's a lot of options. I mean, I've considered buying a case of First Bowman and ripping the whole thing.
That's one of my favorites. Yeah, first Bowman First are one of my favorites.
Yeah, I
That's what I
love
was
that
going to.
card, and from a value standpoint and from what, if you pull an orange or blue or whatever, if you pull up the right cards, you can do really well. And I've considered, and I probably will do that at some point. I know I will. But so that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm just trying to look at what is everybody else doing? How are they doing it? What's working? And whatever's working, if somebody else is doing it, then we can do it. Anybody can do it and master it, get it down, then move to the next thing, then move to the next. I think people, they're doing like this, but they don't take the time to master breaking sets. I can make money all day long, every day, breaking sets. Just bought a 1985. I'm looking for the Conseco card, the Don Mattingly card, the Griffey Bull, and the Bubble card. We've made a fortune with that this year, a fortune, and that card's just gone up like crazy in the last 12 months. There's certain cards like that. So when you're buying your cards, you've got to buy the right ones. I mean, it's kind of common sense, but
Yeah, no, that's pretty much where we're at.
I'm preaching to the choir here. It's like Dale, buy the right ones.
I'm with you. I'm with you. That's what I've done. I've made that natural shift to being where where can I put more iconic in? And I'm with you. Like I look at it and go, okay, I can bet on these prospects, which I do in some ways, right? Like one of my strategies is to buy all the top 100 prospects on the MLB and just send them off to ComC and let them sit there
Yeah,
until they hit, right?
I love that. I love that.
But but what I've started doing is what you're talking about doing. A lot of it's inspired by you is looking backwards. And so much of that junk wax is sitting in people's garages that they just want to get rid of. And you can go through there and pull out some of those cards and then send to alternative graders, or if they're clean, send them to a grader. And that's where you inject that value for
That's
sure.
that's where the money is, and Facebook Marketplace has been really good for us,
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
good. And you might appreciate this. Let me while I'm thinking about it. You talked about the top 100. I look and who on this list has moved
Got it.
the most?
Yeah.
Who has moved up the most in the last 12 months? And that usually is a huge sign of where to put your money.
That's great.
Caglion and some of like Acuna. If you looked at Acuna when he was started on the list and how quickly he moved up,
Yeah.
and you go back and you start doing some research, the guys that are moving up the quickest are usually the hottest, usually.
Yeah. Churio was a good example of that.
Excellent example.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I try to pay attention to that, and I think probably the biggest issue that I'm facing right now with that specific strategy is which card, right? Do you try to buy the numbered card? Do you try to buy a Mojo? Do you try to buy a refractor and sit on that at that $5 level, right?
Yeah.
Not I mean, if you go up higher, then of course you buy the numbered auto, first auto or whatever. Yeah, no, well, I want to talk about and kind of end the show here. We've been going, and I could go all day. I really could. You've documented this process. You put out a ton of free content, and you're building the foundation of the business the absolute right way by building know, like, and trust, and your customers and people that watch your YouTube channel, you're building some revenue streams besides just cards with like this course that you're building, automatic sports card profits. I think that you're doing not quite out there yet, but
No.
talk a little bit about that course and what your goals are with that.
I have mixed emotions with it, honestly. I mean, my whole life, my whole entrepreneurial career has been doing what I'm doing, trying to do here and teaching systems because systems duplicate. My personality's not going to duplicate. Nobody's personality duplicates. I mean, I look at like guys on YouTube like Roth Cards. That guy is a hustler, man. And he's I mean, I trust him. I think he's
Yeah.
a good guy. I really do. But man, I mean, he's out there hitting it. Okay. That's not my personality. I'm kind of laid back. I will work my rear end off and I'll outwork anybody, but I'm just not vocal like that. So I love teaching people. And I always look at it from the standpoint of what would I want my grandkids to know? That's what I'm really teaching now. I always believe that if you follow specific systems, if other people have done it and made money, then you can. So what I've been really trying to do is figure out what are these systems. So we have like the dividend system and the GOAT system and breaking box. We have all these systems that we're putting together in a back end for people where they can go at their own pace online. And that was my original thought. And it still is. And I'm going to do it because I said I was going to do it. But teaching sports card systems courses is looked on very negatively and for good reason. Okay. But it's looked on negatively. And I don't need to deal with that stuff. I really don't.
Right.
I have people that I'm working with right now that are coming down the road. They're having fun. They're enjoying it. And there's a lot more out there that I know I can have a positive impact on. And it's what I've always done. So that's like what I felt like I needed to do here. And I'm going to, but I'm not in a big hurry to release it because when it releases, I don't care what anybody says. I know what I know is in there. And I know if you follow it, you'll make money. And if you're not willing to do the work and you don't have patience and don't invest in the course. And I'm trying to formulate all this in my mind right now, how I want to do it, because all my life it's like, why don't you give me the course and let me put it into action? And then once I'll pay you once I make my profits. And I'm thinking about, okay, let's do that. And I don't know if that's the direction I'm going to go, but I
Why
might do
not?
something like, hey, try it for 6 months. After you've made X amount of money, then pay me for the course or pay me the bulk of the course. I'm not going to if you let everybody come in free, nobody will do anything. But I'm just trying to think about some things, doing some things maybe that have never been done. But I'm excited about it because I would love to get online once a week and talk to people that I'm working with. Because I've
Yeah.
done this my whole career and I haven't done it in the last couple of years. I've always built teams and had people. Well, I'm still formulating a lot of it. But man, what I've got so far is really, really good.
I
It's
bet it is. I
yeah,
bet it
it's
is.
good. Yeah.
Well, I know myself, and I'm sure several others that want to watch will be the first in line. I've already put myself on the wait list, but I think, yeah, I wanted to have you on the show because I respect not just what you're doing, but how you're doing it. I think, again, like you said, in a world where the intentions always aren't pure, the intentions aren't, it's how to make a quick buck and those types of things. Like I sense that, I feel that, like I know that that you're trying to build something that you can pass to your granddaughter,
Yeah.
or other people that are in similar boats that could really help out their situation. And I know it's appreciated by a lot. And again, I just wanted to highlight it and have you on and
Well,
build a relationship because I have a lot of respect for you.
thank you, Ron. I sincerely appreciate you asking. Sincerely. You don't know. It really was a confirmation for me in a lot of ways. So I sincerely appreciate you inviting me to be on here.